we have at his expense because, as I mentioned, he's a goof. Fun of him, especially because anytime you say he loses his fucking mind and starts putting up for fucking his side of the story or blah 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 or whatever the fuck, because he's apparently a mental case. But we don't hate him and haven't been searching for a reason to knock him, but he is, since he has delivered one to us, this fucking guy is a glaring example of another reason why the business was better when it was controlled and only professionals could be involved. Because since it got deregulated and or anybody can become a promoter and anybody can become a wrestler, most of the time it's just people playing on a local level, and it doesn't hurt anything except the people's feelings that have to watch the stuff. But this is the classic example of how anybody can get into wrestling, anybody can be a wrestler, anybody can get booked, anybody can work on a show anywhere. This is what creates a Frankenstein monster. Because you get a guy like this that is not in any way smart to the wrestling business. You can tell that from the interviews he does. He pays legends and or people in the wrestling business to talk to him on Skype so that he can put it up on his YouTube channel. He doesn't know anything about the people he's talking to. That's one of the things that we've made fun of. And he doesn't really have any knowledge of wrestling history, and he's never actually wrestled anyway. He was in the developmental program for about, 15 minutes, 10 or 15 years ago. Because of his size, they offered him a chance to train. But when they found out that he had Hep C, which he claims he got from Abdullah the Butcher, they reneged on that agreement, and then he sued Abby and won the lawsuit, and Abby never paid him.
Real quick, can I jump in here?
Go ahead.
Because I've had more back and forth with this idiot than even you have.
I didn't know you'd spoken to him.
I've never spoken to him, but the first time we ever made fun of him on 605, in a benign way, look, he's an idiot. He's an idiot. How do you decide you want to interview wrestlers and then you know nothing? That's embarrassing.
Well, also, let's face it, he's got the television personality of a fucking cadaver. If you propped up Weekend at Bernie after Bernie expired, if you propped him up, gave him a Canadian accent, and told him to do a spooky voice, that's the personality you'd get to this guy on camera. So it's easy to make fun.
If you asked me to point to someone who clearly ate paint chips as a child, I would point to him. I would point to him, and I would question the toxicity of Canadian paint chips compared to what we have over here. But this guy does all these interviews, and he sucks. But the beginning of the story, it all starts with everyone giving him sympathy. He was doing garbage matches, booking his own shows. Apparently part of the reason is because people don't want to use him.
Yeah.
So then the scam became, I'm going to come to your show, and I'll pay to be there, and I'll bring my own people, and I just want to film it in front of fans. So this guy, the story is Abdullah came, and Abdullah cut him without him knowing it, and he got hepatitis C. Let me just say, Abdullah cutting people without them knowing it absolutely happened all the fucking time. Did Abdullah the Butcher... And I only say that because I know enough people that know people involved in this that have always questioned that part of it. So we don't know for sure. But what I do know for sure, part of the story is that cost him everything. That cost him the WWE. He would have gone there and look at his size. He would have been a big star. He wouldn't have lasted 5 minutes in that fucking locker room. No. And you know it, and everyone out there in the business fucking knows it. You think Randy Orton was going to put up with this fucking clown? You think anyone in that locker room was going to put up with this guy? And it's
Dino Douche didn't make it through their developmental, and he's not nearly as big of an idiot as this guy.
He wouldn't have lasted 5 minutes.
They would have put a revolving door in there just because of, as we mentioned, the guy is a complete... Mark can be a derogatory term, or Mark can be a term of endearment. I'm a mark for so-and-so, or I'm a mark for such and such, but this guy is a mark. As you've mentioned, and we're going to talk about what he did here in a second, but as you mentioned, the deal that he's been doing is that he pays for himself he transes himself, as they say, to some wrestling event in Texas. Usually there's been a couple places in Texas. First one won't use him anymore. Now the second one's banned him. He transes himself in. He says, you don't have to pay me. Let me work my gimmick. Blood Hunter.
I need content and I need blood. I'm the content hunter and the blood hunter. And
the irony has not been lost on anybody that the guy who supposedly lost his big major career he was going to have because he had a blood-borne illness, his gimmick is the Blood Hunter, and he makes people bleed. He brings himself in. You don't have to pay him. He's going to wrestle. He also brings in his opponents and or contributes to their fee. He also brings in his own manager. Poor Selena De La Renta at the last Texas thing he got kicked out of. She put up with it for a while, and finally, and we talked Selena De a 125-pound female, and she was managing him because he was paying her, and he was paying himself, and he was paying the guy, just let me tape it and put it on my YouTube channel so if people think that I'm actually a wrestler, right? And I've got this gimmick. One of the finishes he came up with was to powerbomb Selena De La Renta off the ring onto his opponent who was laying on a table in order to beat his opponent. He was going to sacrifice his manager, and in the process of all this, something else that she didn't know was going to happen. Either him, his opponent, or both got blood all over her fucking designer dress that cost about 3 times more than she was going to make to be there. That was not cleared with her ahead of time. She didn't know it was coming. And she's like, and she doesn't go out in a potato sack like Marjorie Main and Ma and Pa Kettle on the farm because she's Selena De La Renta. So she's like, who's going to pay for my fucking dress? What the fuck's going on here? You know, as the kids say, peace out, motherfucker. She bailed on that deal. So anyway, now, as we said, apparently this guy, he works under a mask and his gimmick is Blood Hunter, and he finds another...
You know, that would have been a great gimmick if, like, Keith Richards needed a guy in, like, 75, if he was, like, a heel manager. Because he was always getting those blood transfusions from, like, the Alps. The Blood Hunter. Where's my Blood Hunter?
Peter Cushing. All right, cowboy. But anyway, so this fucking idiot.
What an idiot.
This fucking idiot goes down to Texas to work on this little independent show, and we've seen the video. This thing can't be on television. I don't know anything about this promotion, but it's obviously shot for YouTube or whatever. And I don't know if there was a couple hundred people there, maybe not, and they've tried to light the thing and whatever, and it's a local promotion. I'm not blasting people doing local wrestling promotions. And it's also hard when you're a promoter, it's hard to argue with the guy, well, I'll pay, you don't have to pay me, and I'll get there for free, and I'll bring a manager, and I'll chip in on my opponent, and I'll do all this and that and the other thing.
You supply the blood.
Yeah. But so he goes down there and he wants to get his gimmick over in this little local promotion that's not even on television, and there's no... If anybody is under the delusion that this is going to go anywhere as far as drawing thousands of people or getting on real television with the talent involved here, he was wrestling Carlito. And Carlito was not gonna fucking go for any of this fucking bullshit, right? So, apparently he has to make somebody bleed, and Carlito ain't gonna go for it, so he wants to make the referee bleed after he does a job. Because Carlito also was gonna put this fucking clown over. So, none of the referees are like, no, we don't get juice. So they find a referee that they've used before that apparently has gotten color before, and he agrees to come in and do it. And this guy's story, apparently his wife died earlier this year. He's been depressed. He's been away from wrestling, but he wanted something to do, you know, and obviously this guy, And this fucking piece of shit, now that I'm thinking about it, fucking piece of shit Hannibal, he tried to put an explanation video up. It's, oh, I was wearing a mask and it's hard to see through. And this guy, he's a bleeder. The only reason he's there is because he's a bleeder. He was supposed to a bleeder. This Mark
wouldn't go quietly.
uses terms like that because he doesn't even know anything about the fucking business he's supposedly in. He's a fucking mark from the very word go at the definition of the word. This guy wasn't a fucking bleeder. This is a poor local independent referee that does this every once in a while for the love of the game, probably. And was doing something to get out of the house, and he's probably done it a time or two before with who knows what kind of results, and he said he'd do it. For whatever, and you can blame him or not all you want to for being, I know these kind of guys, they want to be involved in the show, and they know they're not going to go to work for the WWE or be on national television, but they can get a picture. Hey, remember when this guy busted me open and look, I'm bleeding, and it's a fucking thing, right? It's like the equivalent of the fans at the Ring of Honor shows the old days liking it when they got kicked in the face by a dive. You can question the fucking judgment, but the guy was harmless, the referee. So...
I couldn't see through the mask. What
Yeah.
was I supposed to do?
He couldn't see
So
through
I
the mask
stabbed.
that he
I
wears
stabbed
to
more.
wrestle in. That he wears to wrestle in. He couldn't see through it. Oh, and also he blamed other people. They just gave me the gimmick. It was a spike, and they just gave it to me before I went out there. Well, motherfucker, if you're a fucking supposed professional wrestler, if you don't know how to work with something, why are you trying with this level of success? So what he does is, and the crummy-looking video is out there, part you can't tell a lot, but I can tell enough. I've seen the pictures of the guy's head, and whether anybody wants to believe me or not, I've seen a lot of blade jobs, and I've done a few. Probably more of each than many of the current professional wrestlers that are listening to me right now. So you can either consider that I know what I'm talking about, or you can just continue to say, oh, it was a work, or they're trying to fool somebody, or the guy did it himself, or whatever the fuck. Apparently, old Blood Hunter goes down and he gets the spike, and he's getting it to the referee's head. And you see this guy go down with a blade and try to get some juice. And the backstory has come out from another referee that was on the scene, from this referee, from various people that corroborates what I'm about to say, from everybody except Hannibal's viewpoint. Well, I see the guy's head in the pictures, and I see it was said that he made the blade himself. Well, you don't do the majority of what was done to this guy's head with a blade, especially one you made yourself. It would almost be impossible. You could try real hard, but with a wrestling blade, no. You do see scratches, and the guy went down, and he tried to get juice, and he did it like an amateur, and maybe nobody told him, or maybe he just he was a little bashful with it. And you can see two long scratches where he went from one side of his forehead to the other. It probably didn't bleed at all, but it scratched. And that's when somebody, not exactly ready to go to the bone for the business, and they're trying to make up for it by going long instead of deep. And all that does is piss you off. If you're going to do it, you've made your blade yourself, you've got it the right way, you've marked your cutting edge so you're not going backwards and ripping yourself, and you're following all the protocols, you have to commit. Stick it in, pull it about a half an inch or an inch. That'll get the job done. My episode with Paul Lee on TBS all those years ago when he hit me with the phone, I've mentioned this. I was not fully experienced enough then to realize that when you're cold, and when it's cold in your environment, it takes a minute to come. Which is why that I stuck it in and committed the first time and saw nothing. And then I stuck it in and committed 2 or 3 more times before everything came all at the same time. And then it was like, ah, shit. But nevertheless, he didn't do that, the referee. So he didn't get any juice, and this is the testimony of everybody who was involved except old Hannibal. Old Hannibal got upset because his angle was being ruined because the juice production, the blood was not to his liking.
Shut the elevators down.
So he decides to get on top of this fucking middle-aged referee, little milksop-looking guy, and hold him down and fucking stab him in the head with this spike that he's supposed to be using as a gimmick. Now, obviously, if it was even introduced into the realm of possibility to use this spike as a gimmick, the spike is not razor sharp. The spike is not meant to cut people. So he's stabbing the guy in the head with a fairly blunt spike, which is causing puncture wounds in this fucking guy's head. And you see, not only had to have staples in various places in his head, but they had to do surgery to close up an artery that got punctured because nobody gets juice on the top of their and sides of their head. They had to shave this guy's head when they sewed him up, stapled him up, because he had hair. Nobody does that. Because besides the fact that you can't fucking tell what you're doing, there's arteries in between the skull bone and your top of your fucking skin, which old Hannibal found one. And apparently when the guy was trying to squirm out from under him to make sure he didn't go anywhere, old Hannibal put a rear naked choke on him, choked him out. So, and nobody, the other referees are scared to get in the ring with this fucking idiot because he is large, 300 pounds or whatever, and supposedly the promoter didn't even know what the fuck was going on or supposed to go on. Old Hannibal, now he's got a free manager, his girlfriend. He brings his girlfriend to manage him now. She rolls in and tries to pull him off because they're screaming, leave the guy alone, and they pull this guy out of the ring and he's fucking bleeding puddles on the ground. What the fuck? Not only this, but apparently old Hannibal drives himself down. Maybe there's an issue with him crossing the Canadian border to do these under the radar, non-sanctioned, don't have paperwork for this to do this in the United States wrestling matches. Because he drove down in an RV where apparently, according to the... And this story was on, by the way, the Wrestling Observer site. It's been on all the mainstream sites, been picked up. The referees and other people that were there put it on Facebook and out on the internet. They've set up a GoFundMe for the guy's medical bills. They said that old Hannibal spent most of the day in his RV, and when he came out, he was smelling of alcohol. And the first referee that actually refereed the match told Carlito, get this over with quick, because the description was he was lurching about and something seemed off.
Boss wants everything erased. Can't make it delete.
So let's just take this whole thing into consideration. This fucking guy, who clearly has mental problems, who fancies himself and has for some time a world-renowned pro wrestler, when in actuality he pays, and this is documented, this is not me, we can produce all kinds of statements to this. He pays for himself to be on shows, and pays for people to manage him, and pays for sometimes people to wrestle against him, and does all this simply so that he has video of him as a wrestler to put on his own YouTube channel.
Before everything's gone.
He's a mental kid. When you even make fun of his goofy voice or his lack of knowledge, he loses his mind and goes on tirades. His whole gimmick is that he's a guy who was denied the opportunity to be this big major wrestling superstar because of a blood illness. So now he's taken that and made it his gimmick and is going out and making everybody else bleed, whether they want to or not, in little tiny fucking buildings in front of nobody for no reason, possibly under the influence, and he's picking on fucking local guys who aren't even in the business anyway, except just as a lark, and mutilating them because they don't bleed to his mark specifications. And while we're on the subject, I have often used blood in wrestling and said that it should be used by professionals when there is a goal and the thought of drawing money and selling tickets, and it's being done in a legitimate promotion. We didn't go all fucking hardcore garbage deathmatch crazy in Smoky Mountain Wrestling, but people did bleed on TV or in matches when we were building and promoting things that were going to draw literally thousands of people or be seen by literally tens of thousands of people on television in our area. We didn't even have the capability then to go around the world. In Ring of Honor, we didn't use a lot of blood, but we still used it when there was a goal in mind, when there was an internet pay-per-view coming up, or a big match, or something that was going to draw thousands of people to view it in some fashion, or in excess of 5 figures, and then a couple of those New York shows and pay-per-views, 6 figures in income.
We'll look for the bombs.
We very seldom had blood at OVW at all because of the Kentucky Commission requirements, but we certainly would have only used it to promote the Gardens events or big events that were going to draw thousands of people. This is a fucking mark. Going down to some local promotion that, let's face it, is going to be in the state that it's in, no matter who's involved, this time next year and a year after that and a year after that. And because he is such a mark for himself and has such a delusional opinion that he's some famous, talented professional, that because a fucking part-time referee doesn't bleed to his specification in this fucking incident, it's gonna fucking damage his career somehow? It's gonna put a black mark or a blemish on his reputation? He has to take matters in his own hands and say, here, I'll make you bleed, motherfucker. You may have a family to go home to in your real life, but I'll just stab you in the head 10 times. Because I can't look bad in front of these 150 people in Corn Row, Texas.
Because he probably was.
What the fuck? What is the matter with this guy? And I would say what's the matter with the people that employ him. They've banned him. He'll never be back there, but I don't know, other than the
He's
lure.
got a lot of enablers, though. He's had a lot of
That's
enablers.
what I'm saying. Except under the lure of free talent, why would anybody be associating with this fucking guy when you can tell that not only is he a goof, but he's obviously also mentally fucking unstable?
Money. I mean, that's really all there is. He can offer someone money. I mean, that's the saddest thing about wrestling. That's one of the reasons why I rant about some of the things I do on 605. No matter how much you want wrestling to be upscale in terms of just the way people think of it or the way people look at it or the way it treats itself, there's always a scum element that will offer money to people to do whatever with them, and there's always people, even people with the best intentions, like a Bruno Sammartino, who will take that money and do it. And this clown has been desperate for content. He's got a lot of subscribers, but his actual videos don't do that great. Desperate for content, and there's been a lot of people enabling him. I think one of the reasons my heat, or my back and forth with him started, was because I called out CAC. They were letting this guy come and film all of their stuff and put on his channel. Meanwhile, CAC's begging people for money. CAC's yelling at people to go in there and raise money with a raffle. And they're giving away content on YouTube. And he flipped out, and it turned out Brian Blair was protecting him. Because the board of directors had members who wanted to not let him do this anymore, and Brian Blair protected him. Brian Blair has been a Hannibal enabler. And I like Kevin Sullivan, and I think Kevin has to explain himself here, but I think Kevin has been way too tolerant of this clown, and it's beneath him. And I think Kevin needs to choose his friends better. And I say that as someone who likes Kevin a whole lot. But there's been a lot of people that, you know, at the end of the day, if you're going to take someone's money, you got to just decide, am I okay being in business with this fucking guy? Everyone knows who this guy is. He has a horrible reputation with women with people in Canada, with journalists in Canada, with wrestlers in Canada. Anyone in Canada who touches wrestling, who has dealt with this fucking great white idiot, has had a bad experience. This guy's a horrible reputation.
Anyone in Canada!
The payday isn't that good to justify being in business with this clown. And people just need to fucking, I mean, gee, I just wish there were more reputable ways to make money with wrestling, and I get it that there aren't, and I feel bad about that. But everyone needs to just stop taking money from any fucking jerk-off, because these are the fucking jerk-offs. This guy just happens to be a dangerous one. Because he is big, and he is strong, and he does have real credentials. And he's nuts. Someone just sent me an article. Apparently, he loves to sue people. Remember, he threatened to sue me. He put up a video after I made fun of him. It was him. It was the funniest thing. This is why I can never hate the guy. He's a source of amazing comedy. He put up a video in response to me making fun of him and how he was so stupid and how he knows nothing about wrestling history and he's doing these awful interviews and he also sounds like shit. Made fun of all that.
Well, what was he gonna sue you for? Telling the truth?
This was after I mentioned that I was told, and I was, that he was not invited to be a part of any further Florida Fan Fest because he put his hands on a fan.
With pleasure.
And then I made fun of him and how dumb he is. He put up a video of him, shirtless, headgear on, hitting a double bicep, and it was, "You got a problem, I'll meet you in a parking lot, or I'll sue you." And I'm like, what? First of all, you
Which
idiot.
is it, then?
Yeah, make up your fucking mind, you dullard. Are you gonna sue me?
Now, there's a word that does not get used enough these days.
Are you gonna sue me, or are you gonna hide in a parking lot? And quite frankly, I'm afraid of what you'd want to do with me in a parking lot. You're a weird freak. You are a weirdo, and everyone fucking knows it. And I know a lot of people have been afraid to call you out. I haven't. I've been doing it for a while. You're an idiot. And you're exactly the kind of person the wrestling business needs to stomp out once and for all. Your fucking lifelong audition for Dark Side of the Ring needs to end now. Go away. Go find another job. Oh, what I was telling you before. This will sum up my fucking thing here. I saw an article that he was sued, I think the city of Ottawa, I guess it's a city, sued Ottawa because he lost his job. This was in the midst of all the Hep C stuff. I'm thinking, what is this job that he's suing over? He must have, really done something important. Unless I read the article wrong, it was part-time gym attendant. That's what this fucking guy was suing over. This guy's an idiot. Enough! Get money somewhere else, guys. Stop taking money from these people. Or just risk being associated with them forever.
What's wrong, Willie?
That's all I say.
And see, here's the thing, because this got all this publicity, especially in non-wrestling news sites, of course, they didn't know how to cover it. Wrestler goes off script and Butcher's referee was one, but also some headlines were calling it a botched wrestling thing, whatever. There was nothing botched about this. The guy just grabbed the guy and fucking poked him in the head with a fucking spike a bunch of times. You can't really do that right. But again, all those non-wrestling sites, for all those non-wrestling people that see that, they're just now convinced, well, what kind of subhuman fucking sideshow freaks are these people? The referee was supposed to be a bleeder? What kind of world is this? It just makes everybody look like the fucking geek that bites the head off the live chicken. And nothing about this. This is the fringest of fringe, carny, low-class wrestling. Not anything about professional wrestling. It was involved in this. The people weren't prepared. The people on the show weren't prepared for something like this because they're all fucking, hey kids, let's put on a show, pitching in local people too. They've never seen shit like this. This guy's probably told them that he is a star, and they might believe him. And he's coming in a big RV from fucking Canada, gonna wrestle former WWE superstar Carlito. These people with these little promotions may not know that this guy is not what he pretends to be. And as you mentioned, he's fucking nuts. But it just gives everybody a horrible again, example or impression of what pro wrestling is, or they think it is, and what they're led to believe it is by shit like this, and it makes everybody in it look like a complete fucking idiot. And there's no excuse for everybody involved in this show was enabling this fucking guy just by humoring him. Why you want to get juice on a fucking referee, you fucking idiot? Like that suddenly is going to sell us 1,000 tickets next week. It's a vanity project for some fucking guy with money and time on his hands, because apparently he has no real job, to fucking act out his delusional fantasies about wanting to be a wrestler. And all of these people on these little local shows are not equipped with the experience to be able to process or handle something like this happening. And anybody there that could put a stop to it should have a long time before this happened. My opinion. Good Lord.
I completely agree. I mean, this has been in front of everyone's face. Just everyone, like I said, that's one of the biggest problems with wrestling from the past that needs to end. Where no matter what anyone does, no matter what scummy thing someone does, no matter if everyone knows someone's a complete piece of shit, and then they're like, well, he offered me $500. Why wouldn't I talk to him? Because he's a piece of shit, you fucking idiot!
It's like you walk up to the prettiest girl on the street, you say, will you fuck me for $1 million? She's like, sure. Then you say, will you fuck me for $5? No, what do you think I am? We've already established that. Well, we're just haggling over price.
I guess it's
but that's and again, a lot of people say, well, this is that carny, old-time wrestling. No, shit like this, none of shit like this happened in old-time pro wrestling. Yes, you might get the occasional, the Sheik or fucking, who was that goddamn bladed the guy on a Sheik show? He bladed Dr. Beach. Jerry Graham, Dr. Jerry, you might get Dr. Jerry Graham's drunk and he's gone out of his mind, and he blades fucking somebody. But in the Cobo Arena in front of 10,000 people at least, not in a fucking barn in front of 150 in Dallas, and at least a blade instead of a spike. None of this shit is wrestling or old-fashioned pro wrestling. It is what people who weren't there or who didn't experience it have read and heard people say and think that pro wrestling used to be like.
Kingpin is heading
That's
to prison.
what this kind of thing is. It
I
ain't.
think I should celebrate.
Well, Jim, perhaps the people who had the misfortune, including the referee's daughter, of being in the building that night to witness this, perhaps the promotion that were there, it's now all of them. I mean, he shifted the blame. Everything that's ever happened to him, it's someone else's fault. It's now their fault. The promoter put out a very...
yes. We got to mention that before we wrap this up. The gall of this, as Jackie Fargo said one time, the gall of you. They basically tell old Hannibal, get the fuck out of here. We don't ever want to see you again. We're not going to use you anymore. You've got to be out of your mind. And this thing hits the news, and old Hannibal's excuse video says, I couldn't see because I was wearing this mask and I couldn't see real well, and I thought I was protecting him, but I just got the spike right before we went in the ring. But besides that, they tried to say they fired me, and that's not true. I quit. So he can't even roll over and accept being fired for stabbing a guy in the head with a fucking spike 10 times and puncturing his artery. He can't take the L on, well, yeah, they fired me for that. I could take the L on they fired me for that. If I had ever taken a spike and stabbed somebody in the head 10 times and punctured their artery and got fired for it, I wouldn't have quibbled. I would have taken that one. But he couldn't, because he's a fucking delusional mental idiot. So that's another thing he did. He put out a video blaming the fucking promotion and saying that he quit before they could fire him. What did he have to quit over?
But sometimes it gets him into trouble.
What the fuck would you have had to quit over there? He wasn't the one that got spiked in the head. He's the one that did the spiking. So apparently that means the promotion was offended for him to quit to begin with, doesn't it, Brian?
Yeah, what was his reasoning for quitting, actually, now that I think about it? Obviously, like you just said,
He didn't give what? He
they have just
quit
cause.
before they fired him. You didn't fire me. I'd already quit the night before that you announced that I was fired.
I got enough blood. I had hunted enough blood.
He probably quit in the RV on the way out of fucking town on the interstate. That's when he quit, after they told him, get the fuck out of here.
Well, as I was saying, Jim, you know, the fans...
I'm sorry.
No, it ties into it. It ties into it. The fans in the building, as I said, including the referee's young daughter, the promoter, the promotion, the referee himself, maybe even the people who have had the misfortune of seeing any of Hannibal's videos. All of these people need restitution. And you want to talk about videos. I know a man, dare I say, a hero, who has just recently put up a video giving his thoughts on this whole situation. A man who has laid out what the case is. A man who has laid out why certain people shouldn't be allowed back into the United States. People need to remember it's a privilege, not a right. Of course, I think you know who I'm talking about.
I certainly do. Otherwise, then play that funky music, white boy.
It's fine, Parker. I invented this equipment. I think I can handle it.
Originally, we weren't going to review Rampage this week, but then there was a debut. I watched it almost live, a few minutes behind, and I told you I thought you needed to watch it. Everyone went crazy for it, so we ended up watching most of Rampage, at least, correct?
Well, yes, because I was going to watch one match, and then you made me watch another one, so I ended up watching two. But the one you were speaking of course, was the long-awaited debut. They sent Hook in. Hook came in to save the day. The wrestling debut of Taz's son, Hook. And I'm thinking, you know, they introduce Sting, the man they call Sting, or the man they call Vader, or whatever. There's some preamble to some of these one-word name guys, right? I'm wondering if they should. Here comes Hook.
Is anyone hurt?
No.
Like, you remember the Daredevil comics, the Marvel comics, Daredevil? Here comes Daredevil, the man without fear. It could be, here comes Hook, the man with weird hair.
Positive.
What did they say? They did say, like, this is
Let's not
Hook,
get ahead
or
of
they said
ourselves.
something.
Well, they could say something else, is what I'm saying.
Is there somewhere else
His
we can
hair,
discuss this?
his hair and Jamie Hayter's hair. You watch them come to the ring and it bounces up and down. It puts you in a trance.
We'll talk
This
later.
hair is going to be the most over hair in the wrestling business. I think people have called it unfortunate in the past, an unfortunate head of hair, or just weird, or whatever, but the hair
It's a disaster.
fits him perfectly.
But the dampener have failed.
His opponent was
No docs
Fago
that
del
took the day
Solo
off.
from Mobile, Alabama, the
figure out what went
luchador
wrong.
from Mobile, Alabama. So obviously they wanted somebody that's athletic enough to do his shit, and at the same time small enough that he could move him around and, you know, whatever, but the spotlight was on Hook here. And I love this fucking kid. Because before, we have not seen him do enough to know whether he could do anything or not, and it kind of, you know, was like this, the rib, and there's Hook standing there doing nothing. But fuck, he's in great shape, but more importantly, he's got attitude, the facial expressions, and the way he comes off, you know, when he's fucking healing the people, and he was heelish in his demeanor already. You know, he's got some natural things you can. I know Taz has been, obviously, I'm sure, training in him. He's been training with, I'm sure, a bunch of different people, but he's got shit you can't really teach if his personality was a bag of wet fucking lettuce. And he just carried himself really good, and he would, especially when he knew he was getting over and he knew he was doing well, he got a little extra, you know, oomph in his, a little hitch in his get along there. But he does the judo throws, he's smooth with it, he's got a different kind of style than just everybody else. And a lot of it is his aggression. Even though he's green, he was aggressive, and he wasn't out there scared to say boo to a goose, as Adrian Street would say.
I don't think Dr. Octavius' optimism has ever been.
And then finally, he foiled old Fago's tornado DDT, hit him with a clothesline,
Feels so long
hit him
ago.
with that that's I don't know what they call it, but it's the Tazplex thing that Taz used to use, right? Where he traps the, kind of like a Cobra sleeper and takes him over his head.
The Taz mission? No, that wasn't the Taz mission. There was something else that was
Tazplex.
He was Tasmified, yes.
He was Tasmified. He needs work on those cross faces. Because as he stood over the guy and started cross-facing him, I think...
That was the only thing that missed. Noticeably.
One or two of them missed. One or two of them, the reason why may have been because the other two were live rounds, but it didn't look smooth. I don't know. But he needs a little work on that. But then he rear naked choked the guy and he fucking tapped out. It was great. And, you know, I remember... God, it was a couple months ago. We were talking about you can't see, and I'm not saying this was the greatest debut in the history of pro wrestling, or it was like, you know, Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania, which obviously had more high-priced talent involved and a lot more, you know, rehearsal, if you will. But
Lance Corporal Texas.
I said on a show a few months ago, you never get to see anybody anymore that when you first see them, they're, oh, shit, wow, ho. Like you used to before everything was recorded and put on the worldwide internet. You could always find somebody that would surprise you, that would, you know, but in this case, they managed to do it because, if anything, from the way that he's just been hanging around, and a couple times he got physical several months ago and threw some kicks that didn't do him any favors, you kind of had... It was that old Mad TV skit, Lowered Expectations. And all of a sudden, he's far exceeding them, and the people are getting into it. And so it was a combination of it was a really good debut, and he's got a lot of talent and a lot of oomph to him, to his personality. And people were just surprised because it was better than they thought it was going to be, and better than it had a right to be, probably. So I really enjoyed it.
I thought it was great. You know, he's been such a fascinating character
what's wrong with you.
that the fans really started taking to. Remember, like, there was even like a pop when Punk said, "Send Hook."
Yeah.
Because there's been this mystery around him. He has a hairdo, like, it's not Flock of Seagulls. It's kind of like Flock of Seagulls go to Long Island now.
But get shit on by the seagull.
Yeah, but, you know, my 12-year-old daughter saw that and she was intrigued. And he carried himself well. He didn't crack. At no point did you see him smile and think, oh, this guy is playing a character. You said he started playing it up. It was like, remember when Sid came in as a heel in '89, he started doing things, and as soon as he started hearing any reaction from the fans, he would turn and look to where they were, and then they would react more. Hook, same thing.
He was controlling them.
Yeah.
You know, once that he saw that it was getting over and they were getting into it, then okay, I got these motherfuckers now.
I wouldn't have given Fuego del Sol as much as they did.
Yeah.
I may have kept it a little shorter. It's not the biggest complaint in the world, but he showed a ton of potential, and he has a great look, and I will never discount a wrestling promoter's ability to fuck shit up. But AEW, and we've only seen him once, so let's not go crazy. This isn't Owen Hart, you know, when he debuted and he was the greatest wrestler anyone had ever seen before. We just saw this guy, but AEW has several people that within 5 years, they're all still going to be in their 20s. Hook, MJF, Dante Martin, Darby, especially Darby Crash, Darby Allin.
Darby Crash.
He's based on Darby Crash. Apparently he's Darby Crash and Gigi Allen, and that's why he's Darby Allin.
Okay, I didn't know there was a Darby Crash.
Oh, yeah, Darby Crash, also known, maybe the funnier name is Bobby Pinn, but Darby Crash was the lead singer of the Germs, who are a legendary, infamous, influential punk band from L.A. He famously... Both him and Gigi Allen both overdosed on heroin. He overdosed on heroin. They think it may have been a suicide, thinking, you know, he wanted to do this, he was having a rough life. And unfortunately didn't get a lot of coverage because he decided to overdose on the same night that John Lennon was murdered.
Oh, God!
So it was, other than like Rodney Bingenheimer's show in L.A., it wasn't even like a blip on the radar anywhere because it was John fucking Lennon.
See, now that's a cosmic rib. You couldn't have fucking done it 2 days beforehand or waited a week, huh?
But that was Darby Crash, and then Gigi Allen. You're very well aware of Gigi Allen. I know you're a big fan.
well, yeah, I'm very well aware of
Hit songs like "Suck My Ass, It Smells" and "Bite It, You Scum."
And get your fucking car off my fence. That was a big hit he had on the country chart.
But my point was, Sammy Guevara, you could probably put on the list. AEW has a lot of intriguing, and some that have already shown a lot of real talent, and some that are still in the potential page. Powerhouse Hobbs.
The Gun Kid.
There's a lot of people.
The Young Gun.
There's a lot of people who are young, who even if you want to look at AEW 3 years from now, 5 years from now, they're still going to be in their 20s. They're developing better than NXT. If things work out, a better crew of stars for the next 5 years. Because they have all these people and they're not killing them on TV. I mean, if they put Hook in there with Orange Cassidy, it's going to change the way we see things. But, I mean, it's pretty exciting, actually. I'm excited about the future when you see things like this.
Well, but also, will they have enough veteran and or mainstream talent to keep them from learning the bad habits that they will learn from some of the people on the roster that they may be tasked to work with? Therein lies the rub.
Well, it depends on when you're talking about. You're talking about 3 years from now, 5 years from now. Who will be going to AEW? Will Seth Rollins be finally ready to accept his fate by then, or will he still be worshiping Vince McMahon? We don't know, but it's intriguing. Well, and look, they have... The other thing is, I said that my daughter watched. AEW's younger guys appeal to wrestling fans, but they can appeal to girls. The Young Bucks don't appeal to girls.
Right.
Hook, even MJF, because girls like to hate him. I've seen this in my house with my kids and sometimes their friends watching if I have it on. Darby, Sammy, like, these are people that actually appeal to girls and teenage girls even. So I think there's something there. There really is.
Now, wait a minute. You mean that the teenage girls aren't just all their hearts a flitter and a twitter for Grayson Waller or some of the NXT kids over there?
No, you see, Hook,
they think they can beat them up.
I actually said this the other day to someone in AEW. Hook, because I watched my daughter watch the match with me. You know, like the girls now, they used to be this stupid show called Kirby Buckets with this stupid fucking kid. I forget what it was on. It was like Disney or Nickelodeon.
Kirby Buckets?
Kirby Buckets. The head writer must have been a Minnesota Twins fan. Kirby Puckett, Hall of Fame player. So the kid became Kirby Buckets. He was a little dweeb on the show. I only know this because years later on Cobra Kai, which is a hit show and it's fantastic for anyone my age who grew up with the Karate Kid, this Kirby Buckets putz, he's now got a mohawk, and he's Hawk.
It is new.
And he's a putz, he's Kirby Buckets, but the girls now like him because he's got kind of like that Hawk edge. That's the kind of shit with Hook. These girls see someone like that with that attitude, they like that. And again, I think there are wrestlers that appeal to women and wrestlers that appeal to girls. Like the Von Erichs appeal to girls. The Young Bucks don't appeal to girls. I hate to go back to them over and over. I'm using them as an example. It's not even to really hit on the Young Bucks being unappealing to women.
Oh, what about the Puddin' Gang? With old Muffin Top Taylor. I'm sure he's a sex symbol.
I don't know. You have a lot of young guys in their early 20s. There's something that could be done there. As long as none of them are fucking crazy sex pests or something. There's something to be done there with marketing them towards
Doc was testing
girls and
contact
women. That's all
material
I'm
for the
saying.
prosthetic.
Oh, as long as none of them are crazy sex pests.
You have to say that nowadays with wrestling. You never know. You get behind someone, you support them, then it turns out, oh my God, they've been, sharing fucking photos of women they defecate on with everyone they've ever met. You never know.
I think most of the guys in this business these days under the age of 25 would have to go into serious training to become sex pests, to know how.
Good.
But as far as, let it be known that Hook's debut and the young movement in AEW had Brian Last pounding on his desk here on this program today.
I was doing it for edits. Edit me here, edit me here. I don't let anyone hear this. It's too complimentary. Edit this.
You were worked up and you're giving the Sermon on the Mount.
But you know what? You said something really important before, and I hadn't thought about it in that context, but we've seen it a few times lately.
Get out of here before I screw things up.
Where you actually get excited to see someone for the first time. You don't get that. And we received a lot of emails. I think we may have talked about it on the show, but like NXT, even though you're seeing these people on TV, in a normal world, you'd be excited about seeing these people go up to the main roster and get an opportunity. That would always go away quickly. You'd realize what was going to happen. Hook's the guy we've been seeing for a while. You actually finally get to see it. It wasn't just me. If you saw Twitter, if you saw different places, people went
Spider-Man,
nuts
it's
over
yours.
this.
Yeah.
Fisk make it to Rikers yet?
And that's an excitement you don't see a lot
Or
nowadays.
qualifies for the VIP.
Well, and again, it's a perfect storm. We used that analogy after the events of the last week.
It's a steam company.
You got a kid that really is good.
Got an issue that could benefit from
He's
your unique skill set.
attracted
For you,
attention
Yuri,
by
anything.
the
I'm on my way.
bizarre method of not really ever doing anything, to the point where he was getting more attention than anybody who did anything, because people were joking about him never
Looks like
doing
Jameson's
anything.
got a new episode out.
And you
Wonder what my
have
number
the
one fan
fact
thinks
that
about the Fisk takedown.
not a lot of people are impressed with debuts anymore, because not a ton of them are impressive.
Where listeners like you discuss
And so
the issues affecting our city.
they're like,
with
yeah,
more
give us
surprise
more of
winning
this,
two-time.
and that's a good thing for him. And I hope he rides it to the fucking to the moon. That's the other guy.
And as always, if you
Man,
want
they gotta take care of Team Taz. Seriously, Powerhouse Hobbs.
24 hours of our broadcast,
We've
you'll get an
raved
autograph
about him, and
copy
everyone's
no
seen
extra
it.
charge.
Taz is great on the mic, but he doesn't really do any. Like, he's not really a manager. He never goes to ringside with any of his people. He didn't go to ringside with his son. Ricky Starks, I'm thinking he may be okay. I heard he's working on their YouTube shows, and they did something the other day when Punk ran in, where you finally got Punk and him. I say finally like anyone else cares, but Punk went through every member of Team Taz, other than Ricky Starks. They did this Leo Dante thing, which I'm not going to blame Leo or Dante for the fact that in 1 week, the guy signed the contract and then turned that babyface for no reason. But there's got to be something better to be done with Team Taz. And maybe it's an East Coast thing, where I see it a little differently than others, but I think people would really get behind a good stable with these guys being the focus, and you add to.
I just wish we could. You can't develop Hobbs if you never see Hobbs. They start these projects where any number of people have potential, and okay, let's get it going, and then they just go
That I
away.
need a break from their crap.
Whether
Fair enough.
The Rotten Tomatoes score for Spider-Man No Way Home is here.
You got a black and white suit?
Hey everybody, I'm Adam Martinetti, and these tomatoes sure don't smell
We
rotten.
spent too much integrating Oscar.
Releasing this Friday, No Way Home currently holds a 94% with 133 reviews thus far. The critics' consensus on Rotten Tomatoes states a bigger, bolder Spider-Man sequel.
Tell me
No
someone
Way Home
sabotaged the
expands the
system
franchise's
server, and now all
scope
the towers
and
are
stakes without losing sight of its humor and heart.
Inside
In our
job?
review, Collider gave the film a grade of a B, saying it's all there, good, bad, and in between. But No Way Home itself is pretty clear on this point. Getting exactly what you wished can be a sloppy deal indeed. Compared to the other films in the franchise, the latest is right behind Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which has a 97%, and well ahead of The Amazing Spider-Man 2, which is at 52%. The score can go up or down as more reviews come in and fans start to see it, but for now, No Way Home is one of the best reviewed movies in the Spider-Man franchise. See for yourself on Friday, December 17th, when Spider-Man No Way Home hits theaters. I'm Adam Martinetti, and don't forget to head over to Collider.com for all your movie news, trailers, and reviews. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you later.
Was that you?
Not just a pretty mask, huh?
Whatever you did, any chance you could do it to the other towers?
Sure, but just so you know, I had to sync up with the tower to fix it. I'm seeing all crime data in the area now. Looks like there's a break-in happening near me.
Great. I've got units nearby.
Don't bother. I'm on it.
Do it. Watch my back.
Pretty sure these guys didn't forget their keys.
Better start praying. In the air, what do we do? You're going down.
Okay, wrapped up.
Thanks for that. Now I'm seeing an assault near you.
You're in luck, Yuri. Your favorite tough but lovable, grizzled, seen-too-much detective is in town.
What? No. You promised you wouldn't do that anymore.
Spider Cop.
Please, no.
So you're the snitch.
Back off, creep.
Yep, she's the one.
I said back off! Leave me alone!
Keep it quiet, lady.
Don't touch me! Help! Help! Police!
Keep your mouth shut.
Get away from her!
Oh, crap. Spider-Man.
I'm not! Leave us alone!
Walk away now, or she's dead.
Let me go!
All clear, ma'am.
I knew Jameson was wrong about you. You're a little weird, but you got a good heart.
Have you got somewhere to go?
I can take care of myself.
I'm sure you can, but just in case, there's a place called the Feast Center.
Seen it. I don't want charity.
They got the best wheat cakes in the city, hands down.
Mom used to make those. Haven't had any in a long time. I'll check it out. Thanks, Spider Guy.
It's Spider-Man. Oh well. Should be able to spot the next tower from up there. From his elevated position, Spider Cop spies his destination. A second surveillance tower.
Are you narrating yourself?
What? No, of course not. The Chief never did understand Spider Cop. Thought he was a loose cannon.
Already regretting this.
Bet I can modify these towers to track more than just crimes. Score. Towers are picking up all kinds of RFID signals now, including one nearby. What is that? Oh, wow. One of my old backpacks from high school. Forgot I attached tracking dots to these. Wonder how many of these are scattered around the city.
Still there? Got a robbery a few blocks away.
Spider Cop's on it. Part man, part spider. Oh, cow.
Open the safe! Do it!
Hey, fellas.
Ah! Spider-Man! Shoot it!
More of them? Guys, if you worked this hard at a legit job, you wouldn't need to be criminals. All right, Yuri. I'm gonna repair the last Chinatown tower now.
Don't you mean Spider Cop's gonna repair it?
Been doing a little thinking, Yuri. Policing's a young man's game, and Spider Cop, well, he's no spring chicken.
Please be going where I think you're going.
As of today, Spider Cop is officially retired.
Oh, thank God. I need a drink.
We'll all drink tonight, Yuri. Drink to the memory of Spider Cop's tireless... Yuri? Yuri, you there? Guess the emotion of the moment overwhelmed her. Not good. Can't have people taking pictures of my 3 chest hairs. Tools I need for suit repair at the lab. Wonder if Dr. Octavius is left for the day. Doctor, how did it go with the committee? I'm so sorry I screwed things up.
Not at all, Peter. They're just nervous in the face of imminent triumph. They'll calm down. They always do.
Should I head back to the lab for cleanup?
No. I'm stepping out for dinner anyhow. We'll resume tomorrow. Short break, then back to creating the future.
Wish I could bottle and sell that man's optimism. Sounds like he's left the lab for the day. Good time to work on my suit in private.
All units be advised. Commercial robbery in progress. Location is north of Houston. Over.
Beautiful blade.
Looks like Doc's gone for the night. Time to sneak in some spider work. Wonder if I could 3D print a web shooter. Can't believe I've never tried that.
What was Doc working on with this? Beautiful. Looks like another potential prosthetic contact material. Oh, hydrogel IPN. This looks promising. Bet it'd be a great tissue interface. What was Doc working on with this? Great conductivity. Not sure about long-term wear and tear, though. Might delaminate easily. Doc was testing the biocompatibility of graphene. Pretty high cytotoxicity. Not sure I'd use this as tissue interface.
Peter, thank you again for doing these blind reviews. Peer review is the backbone of great science. You know, as we prep for the upcoming fitting, I felt an itch in the back of my brain. Is this really the best method of limb replacement? Silly, I know, but I keep thinking, might there be another way?
We're trying to improve the prosthetics hardware. I should review what Doc's been developing and double-check his work. Doc was trying to improve the actuator's granularity. Nice. Super smooth response. See if we can tune the prosthetic's grip force. That's better. Should avoid bone-crushing handshakes at least. Interesting. Doc's hardwiring in a basic spatial mapping system.
See.
Very cool. Arms will have a sense of their surroundings now. Should help with body awareness. Need to tune the arm's gyro to auto-orient. This'll really help users maintain their equilibrium while wearing the prosthetic. Doc's trying to lower the overall power consumption of the prosthetic. Way more efficient. Probably safer, too.
Parker!
Dr. Octavius, what you got there?
Chinese. If I know you'd be here, I would've... What are you working on?
Oh, just a side project.
Of course. It's you.
I don't know what you're...
come on, Parker, it's obvious.
Let me explain.
I wish you'd told me sooner.
I wanted to.
What, you think you're spoiling it for me?
That if word got out,
I beat this game in 2018. I'm just now playing it on PS5, though.
Yes. I guess if you design his equipment, you're bound to be a target, too.
Yeah.
Don't worry. Your secret's safe. Well, I'll leave you to it.
Can't see what you're saying.
Check
what?
Your email. Hope this isn't how Doc fires me.
Peter, the revelation of your second job as Spider-Man suit crafter, is that the right term? Is a reminder of the good man and partner you are. No matter how hard you work, you still find time to help others. I hope you don't mind, but I noticed the suit was a bit damaged, and I took the liberty of sketching up some of my own improvements. Attached are a few ideas I had on how you could enhance his suit and help protect
I already
Spider-Man.
knew she died
There's
in the
so much
game.
for this city. Looking forward to the incredible work that we're doing and changing the world together. Your partner and friend, Otto.
White spider, huh? That should do it.
Excuse me, late for work!
Man, this thing really does look a lot better on PS5. I wonder if I took this home to play it.
Hello, New York! New suit, same old me.
Spider-Man, I think I figured out how Fisk's men are keeping his rackets running. Construction sites.
Wasn't that shut down when he was arrested?
No, it's one of his legitimate businesses. Multiple investors. We can't act without cause.
But now you've got that, right?
That's why I'm hoping you can keep an eye on the locations. Tell me if you see anything suspicious.
You got it. I'll be your nosy neighborhood Spider-Man.
My loyal listeners, Rushheads, they call themselves, though I never quite understood why, will remember my warnings about the downright Orwellian crime monitoring system the city was installing. It's not optional. Why? Because someone came to their senses and realized they'd be violating civil liberties? Wrong! Because those incompetent bureaucrats built a network that crashes more often than a wino driving a bumper car. So your tax dollars got wasted, and there's nothing to show for it. Which is about as close as you get to a happy ending in the real world, kids.
All units, report of a break-in. Proceed to 2 bridges. Over.
Wild guess. Those guys breaking in don't live there.
Spider-Man? Damn it! I said you were being too noisy!
Wow, you all forgot your keys?
Take that! You're gonna regret that! He's not fighting fair! Take this!
So, you're all going to jail. Where I bet you'll be as good at breaking out as you were at breaking in.
All units, there's a vehicle pursuit in progress. Report came in from Little Italy.
No.
All units, narcotic sale reported in progress. Location is south of Houston.
Boy, look at that spider ass. Oh, sick.
Assault in progress. Officers needed at Tribeca. Please copy.
Only cowards assault a helpless person like that. You want to fight? It's your lucky day. Live by the beatdown, die by the beatdown.
Thanks. I think I'll be okay.
not getting much coverage. I should look for more towers to activate.
Look at the ray tracing, man. It's amazing. I should have played this game a long time ago on PS5.
All units, witnesses are reporting a mugging. Need immediate response at Union Square.
Yuri, I'm at a Fisk construction site, and there's a lot of guys here who aren't exactly constructed.
Oh, him yogurt day. He's making you go. How was work? Bruh. Very, very rough. Well. Yeah. Don't help me. The supervisor pisses me off first thing he does. What they do? Told me I may not get the 26 off, even though I went and talked to HR yesterday. And asked him if I got, well, they sent me an email saying I could take it. It had already been scheduled. We talked to HR and they said he put approved unpaid on it. That I wouldn't lose my holiday pay. We talked to him this morning. He said, "Oh, they're thinking about moving 2 batches up. We may need you to work." I may go in if I don't lose. I have to go in if I lose Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Not big matters, Neil. Really? It's all fix my own children. You have to work on Christmas? Let's lose the holiday pay for it. Where the hell did this come from? Where did what come from? This. I don't know. I think it was in the door, and I should have some drinks there. Yeah, give me the thing. I didn't know y'all was gonna be home that soon. Oh, we was on our way. I had just gone in the bathroom when you called. Like I had literally just got it. Told you I was in the bathroom. Well, I didn't know she was gonna stay all night. That's only been like 10 minutes. Sure did. We saw the store and everything. All right. Yeah. Actually, yeah, it picked me a little bit. No, I was, somebody get crackers or apple or something. I gotta work tomorrow too. Huh? Well, he said he'd let me know for sure in the morning, but I'm not scheduled to work tomorrow. He said if they're busy tomorrow for the first few hours, and he'll call me and I can come and work. What's the temperature outside? About 58. Damn. How low is it supposed to get tonight? Foot a lot more lately. He's been scratching, and earlier today he jumped up on my bed. Will you get me a fan out? Thanks. Yeah, earlier today he jumped up on the bed, on my bed. But on his work. I gotta work Saturday. I gotta work Saturday, although if he has to call me in tomorrow, depending on how long I work, I might lose hours on Saturday. It's not about to go over, but their displays and all the Christmas displays and stuff for next week's sales. But their Christmas displays for next week's sales, they all have to be out on the floor first thing Saturday morning. So either they have to get them done tomorrow before they close, or they got to come in early before they open Saturday and do them. But you can't do that because you can't add more hours, you know? And nobody gonna come in there and work for free. Right? You practically do. I do not. I get paid. No, but that's changing. I got hours this week. I got 2 8-hour shifts. That's 16 hours. That's a banana in my lunch bag. Did you get that? Yeah, we got it right. First of the year, I'll start getting about 30 hours a week. You want a sandwich? Yeah, peanut butter. Let me get the chips out too. Chips? Yeah. Cheetos? No. Oh. I thought you meant to eat right now. No, out of your what the hell? Out of your lunch. Yeah. It's supposed to rain a lot, ain't it? Yep. Damn. in my room and play some more Spider-Man. I got a gift yesterday. Yeah. One of our customers that bought one of the PS5 bundles when we had them on sale after Thanksgiving. He brought back one of the games he got with it, which was the Ultimate Edition of Miles Morales, which came with the PS5 remastered version of the Spider-Man game, plus the Miles Morales game. And he brought it back unopened. And since it wasn't open, but since he was bringing it back and wanted to trade it in and get store credit for it, Austin had to put it in the system as used. Well, the used version of that game was was on sale for the Christmas holiday for $9.99, and I had when you're a pro member at GameStop, you get a $5 coupon every month. And because I'm an employee, I get a 30% discount for like $3. Brand new, not even open. It came with all the codes and everything for all the upgrades and whatnot. Got a brand new game that is on sale right now at Walmart for $60 for $3. Couldn't pass that up, could I? The only reason I wanted to get it was because the PS5 version, I had it for PS4, but the PS5 version is remastered and it had new levels and stuff in it, but plus it came with plus it came with the new costume from the new Spider-Man movie that just came out. Well, it comes out tomorrow. And I haven't played it since I originally got it for PS4 back in 2018, so I decided to get it. Hell, for $3, I don't think you can pass that up. You? When he put it in the drawer, and he said, well, I guess since you brought it back, I have to put it down as used. I said, that's cool. And then he looked it up on the computer, and he said, oh my God, it's $10 right now used. I said, it is? He said, yeah. I said, well, I haven't used my $5 coupon this month. He goes, oh, we can get it for $5. I said, well, I get my employee discount right and my pro membership discount right. He said, of course. So he rang it all up and put all my stuff in, my pro membership and everything, and my employee discount. It came out to, I think it was $3.27. He said, you're getting a brand new game that's got 2 games and all the new downloadable stuff for $3. I said, yeah. He goes, damn, I shouldn't have said anything about how much it was. I would have got it. That's too late now. I don't want that much. Take what I give. That enough? A little bit more. Well, that's hot. I'm going to let it cool off for a little while. go get Daddy. Crap. There's a damn... Say what? Oh. Oh, crap. Huh? I ate a cookie and I dropped part of it and it broke and there's crumbs all over the place. I'm trying to pick it up. That's better.
What are they doing?
I'm gonna go find out.
Huh, just got a text from Doc. Looks like he attached an idea for a Spidey gadget. Man, does he ever stop inventing? Wow, this looks like it could work.
Let's see. Can't read this. Should have brought my glasses.
Awesome. Doc could be proud.